Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. See? So read, kids. So, Chuck, as I was thinking about a constant theme that runs through your work, it's really focused on the body, you know, and the things that can go wrong with the body, the bad things that happen to the body. You've got dementia and choking and choke. You have the really gross physicality of the porn business and snuff. You have rabies and Rent. I mean, the good side and the bad side of rabies.
There's always a takeaway. There's always a win, you know.
Yeah. And then, of course, the most horrific act of masturbation in world literature in Haunted. Where's this come from, Chuck?
Go figure.
You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
Why don't you just show me ink blots and ask me to,
Sure.
What does this look like? A penis? I really hate movies where it's just one person standing here and one person standing here in a two-shot and they're saying, "So, have the aliens landed? Are we ready?" And the other person just looks it back and says, "Yes, sir, we're ready." And they talk like that for 15 minutes. I need to watch things that move. There's some really primitive animal part of me that is captivated by movement and motion and things in motion. My eyes will always go to the thing that moves. And so often in books, we get the thing that thinks, we get the thing that talks, we get the thing that talks, we get the thing that loves, we get the thing that talks. But we so seldom get the thing that moves or eats or takes a shit or gets sick or dies. Or maybe it dies beautifully with like one tiny bullet hole and a little blood right here. Or it dies beautifully like Barbara Hershey in bed in Beaches. I don't want to spoil it for you, but that's not how it happens. No, you die and everything goes wrong. You look really bad when you die. And then you look worse. And I want stories in which things move and talk and love and think, but first of all, move. And I'm tired of this kind of division between low culture, where things move and we call it pornography, or we call it horror, and high culture, where things don't move and we call it the English patient.
You know, a lot of my writers claim that they don't read their reviews. And they're lying. You don't read your reviews. And I believe you, and I think it's a very good tactic. And I'm coming to a point, when I think about your career, and I've had a lot of time to think about it now, what strikes me is how outside the whole literary industrial complex your career takes place. You don't generally go to writers' conferences. You don't review other writers' works in the Times book review. You are generous, and I do want to say that Chuck is really wonderfully generous to the writers that he encounters who could use a boost. You were wonderful on Don Pollock and a collection of short stories.
It's easy to be wonderful with Don Pollock. I mean, those are great stories.
Right. But the question, I mean, you're outside the literary mainstream, as I experience it here, you know, in a big New York publishing house, and I just think it's healthy. But how does the literary world look to you, and how do you think they see you, and do you give a shit?
Boy, I'm sorry, it's not about you. It's not about them. I do what I do regardless of how it would be received.
Yeah.
And I would continue to do it regardless of whether or not, it had ever sold. I would still be going to workshop every week and presenting my work to my friends, just so we had this excuse to be together at least once a week. And also because it is that the ongoing metaphorical crisis that allows me to live in the fantasy world, where I can process the crap that happens in my real world. So, this always served me first and foremost. And it's kind of a giant distraction when you start doing it just to serve the audience, to try to get a calculated reaction. I'm trying to think of some eloquent, funny way of putting it, but, because I hate sincerity. But, that's really what it comes down to is, I think initially you do something because you really love to do it, because it's really, really fun. And then you notice that other people maybe enjoy it. And that's a huge distraction when you start doing it because other people enjoy it, and you forget that you really, really enjoy it. And why you started doing it in the first place was because you really, really enjoy it. And it's always a lot more fun when I just sort of stick to the fact that I love doing this, and it's a lot of fun to do.
And we love that you do it.
Thank you.
Yeah. One more question, and then we'll turn it out to the floor. The other thing that struck me as I was going, let me tell you, folks, May is always a wonderful, April or May is always a wonderful month in my work life, because that's the month that Chuck will deliver a book. And here's the manuscript, and I say, well, what is Mr. Chuck up to now? You always find a new way to tell a story. I mean, who would have, when I first started reading Pygmy, and which I've conceived of as, the Manchurian Candidate meets South Park. Where does this voice, this fantastic voice in Pygmy English, I could have sat for a year and said, well, what is Chuck going to come up with? And I wouldn't have come anywhere near that. And each one of your books is a new subject matter, a new way of telling stories. I give all you one. By the way, thank you for your support for Chuck and his books. I'm really grateful to you people. I mean, for one thing, you make me look good to my employer, okay? And I really need that now.